So today, this is a bit more of a relaxing video. I really wanted to walk down memory lane a bit, and with Sparking Zero coming up, I figured it's probably a great time for me to do something a bit more, I'd say, different, but at the same time, doing something that is interesting to me. So, what I decided to do was I wanted to bring you guys, I would say, what's considered today as a classic. Um, I can't say the same about the other title, but as you can see, it is Raging Blast. I'm playing this on the PlayStation 3, and the funniest part is I've had this title since I started collecting video games. And even then, I don't necessarily want to say I was collecting video games, but effectively, I got a PlayStation 3 around this time, and I began buying games for it. I was mainly like playing with my brothers and shit. And I really saw this at the GameStop and I was like, oh, hell yeah, I gotta get this. The funniest part is, I've only played this twice between then and now. And I'm not upset about that. Right now, I'm just sitting down and just like really enjoying this cinematic cutscene, or cinematic opening, better said. I haven't seen this in many years, so I'm just not necessarily being nostalgic, but at the same time, I'm really thinking about the lifeline of the sparking the Sparking Zero timeline, I guess, or better said, the Sparking franchise, because that's what it's called in Japan, but here in America it was Budokai Tenkaichi. And then it became Raging Blast. But I don't I don't know. I don't know what happened to the Raging Blast name, but most importantly, that was an awesome cutscene. And look at this title card though. This is a fucking awesome looking title card. It's very simple. And honestly, as we go through this, you might hear me say that a couple times. Like, look at how seamless that transition was from the title card to basically your menus, right? So we have Dragon Ball Collection. So this is the story mode, and then some what ifs. Now, options, as everybody knows, you could change a couple settings. The museum, I haven't really gone through this, but it was pretty cool. I didn't feel like practicing with the dojo, as you're gonna see later. I haven't played the game enough to focus on ultimate customizing, but we'll see. World Tournament, a staple for these games. And then, honestly, we're gonna go back to the actual story mode. Right, we do also have online battles. I'm not sure if I could still play online on the PlayStation 3. We'll see. Then there's versus mode, super battle trial, so basically more ranked stuff. But let's jump into Dragon Ball Battle Collection. And honestly, I really do like how everything they kept like the same unanimous format, like with the clouds, and then like you can see the actual world landscape in the back, and the clouds are still moving. It's very dynamic looking. And let's just stop and look at these models for a moment. And I'm actually gonna go through the entire story mode, mainly just so we can see like these models. Like, look at this. Like Piccolo's training partners, Piccolo, like they put what is in the actual story of these games. So I will say, like, so far, I'm actually quite impressed, really, with like just how this looks. And I know these are like some super old ass games, but there's a real beauty and charm to this. It reminds me of the Budokai series, like the original Budokai series, where they kept that clay-ish model animation, and they kind of went with that for these models, and I'm really starting to notice that. I wouldn't necessarily say it's like robot chicken esque within like the clay animations or claymation, quote unquote, like style that they went for, but you can somewhat see that within like these models that they briefly gave us. Um, Honestly, I'm actually just really basking in like the art style that they chose for the game, and I really wish they keep this up going forward. Uh, Now, I mainly wanted to talk about Sparking Zero as I was looking through this because these are effectively the predecessors for Sparking Zero. Um, and I have another video topic related to really this particular franchise of games because I realized that even though we've gotten Budokai Tenkaichi and then we've also gotten Raging Blast, I've noticed that once they went to Raging Blast or these new models, this series didn't come back. And they previously mentioned the Sparking series is coming back after like 15 or 16 years of being on a hiatus. Um, well, I believe the last game was made in 2008. I think Budokai Tenkaichi 3 came out in 2008 for the PlayStation 2 and the Wii. I don't really remember exactly. I know the original game came out in 2005. And I have to stop and like look at the actual like disc and stuff, but I'm not gonna go grab them or whatever and look at this iconic scene. I really wish I had that unlocked so we could see them staring each other down in the final battle. Anyway, and look, this is another what if in a story mode. You have Chaozu and Tien fighting each other like that. Never took place. So I actually kind of like the fact that they threw what ifs in the main line. I'm curious to see how Sparking Zero does it, and if Sparking Zero was actually inspired by this format of what if battles. Because to my recollection, I didn't play much of the Budokai Tenkaichi storylines, mainly growing up, because I never really played them too much on my own as a kid because we didn't have consoles. I mainly played these series of games at other people's houses until I got my PlayStation 3, which is, it's been like 10 years now or some shit like that. Yeah, it's something like that. Because I had a PlayStation 3 when the PlayStation 4 was already out because it had free online gaming, which I don't know why Sony doesn't make online games free, but that's a whole nother tangent. Now, like look at this. Like look at all the what ifs. Like some of this are like actual plot points. I don't recall Giro fighting Krillin or Piccolo, but I do know 17 did kill his ass. And as you heard my lady walking by and singing for whatever reason, I guess she's just having a good time. Okay, now we have this iconic fight, 17 and Piccolo. Okay, okay. But this is really just me sitting down and just looking at this and just going through memory lane. Like I remember sitting down watching all this stuff as a kid. Uh, Time flies, man. But anyway, when we really stop and just look at all this stuff, I really feel as if there's a lot of love that was really put into, I say, making this particular title. Oh, just a lot of care. Like look at this, man. Like look at these models, look at this animation, the amount of time they took to program, and you guys are seeing new on basically everything. No, I did not play this game within the 10 years it's been sitting in my house. Anyway, and we're basically now at the end of the Android saga. And I will say, I truly do like the presentation of this first title. And now we're going to the Majin Buu saga. Wow, looks like there's a lot of stuff that's actually available for this saga. Interesting. Were Gohan and Goten training at the beginning of the Buu saga with each other? I don't think so. To my recollection, that is. But neither here nor there. So we know that that's Majin Vegeta versus Goku, the very iconic fights. Look at Fat Boo just standing there. So final impact. You got Goku knocking the shit out of Fat Boo, and then you have Goten and Trunks. Man, these are some real iconic scenes. Wow. And then this is when I just realized like you could actually move the analog stick to change what exactly you're looking at. I was kind of surprised this was a feature that they had in here, but regardless, I'm really just blown away by this game, and I really can't wait to sit down and actually record not only some of these fights for you guys, but most importantly, really to see like what the what the reactions are gonna be to like just experiencing this game with you guys, as like we're basically getting all of the sparking zero or sparking games in order, and now we have the legendary Super Saiyan saga. So this is effectively the first two Broly movies. You got like Broly legendary Super Saiyan, and then that last scene of all three of them together is like the return of Broly. And then we basically move on, and this is the what if stories. And I'm not gonna lie, I think these are really like the main staple of the Sparking series. Just them giving us an alternate timeline. And the funniest part is Dragon Ball consists of so many quote unquote different timelines. And you see this, and the funniest part is here's actually Bardock. And you see this with Bardock because Bardock effectively becomes the legendary Super Saiyan that the tales were made about in his own timeline. And the funniest part is Bardock also sees his son fighting Frieza in the future. And then the funniest part is in the future, you then be able to meet future Trunks who travels to save Goku. And it's funny because traveling or altering timelines is actually a staple of the series. A lot of people don't really sit down and factor that in. But even when we stop and canonically put GT into context, before Super, GT is actually the continuation of Dragon Ball. But now we have Super, where we're given two different timelines where you have Super and then you have GT, effectively. So that's actually one of the more interesting things about like what if stories, and really how they translate into the alternate timelines, and then how these alternate timelines really play a huge role within Dragon Ball as a franchise. And we're basically wrapping up the what if stories, coming back to the original of Trunks, future Trunks, training his current self. And then that's basically the end of the Dragon Ball collection, or the story mode that we have for the original Raging Blast series. And honestly, I wanted to jump in and get some fights in and really just see what that looks like. I basically had some of these settings pre-made, and I was like, we're gonna go team battles. I decided to watch. I really wanted to see how the comms played against each other, and what kind of like features that they would show us about the game, like moves, things of that nature. I really was gonna make this one very basic, so I wanted to have like the iconic duo fight each other and then bring their kids along. I was previously watching a few other matches, so I was really just changing out my character layout. Uh, I don't know why I'm basically just chilling here. I think I was doing something when I stepped away, but excuse me. Nonetheless, yeah, I think I was just chilling at this point. I don't know what the hell I was doing because I'm just sitting here on the characters menu. But I really want to talk about just what this game did. I would say for the sparking name, or the Budokai Tenkaichi name, to keep it going. And I believe that based on what I've seen so far, this is a great first entry. Um, I'm I'm curious to see what the second game looks like, and I have seen some footage on the interwebs, right? But I'll be making my own videos to talk about that. But most importantly, we're about to jump into the fights, and honestly, I really just want you guys to see this. I really want you guys to give me your thoughts on what do you think? What do you think about the original Raging Blast? This was really a game for its time. Like, oh, okay, I see what I did. It turns out that I wasn't interested in having both of their kids fight each other, but as you can see, I went with Goku and Gohan, and then I went with Vegeta and Nappa. Super Saiyan variants of everybody besides Nappa, bald ass. But look at this. Like, look at how everything is so dynamic and it actually flows. Like, we went from a clear time of day as far as the general setting of, from the opening menu to the actual character select screen to effectively seeing it go from day to afternoon. And now we're watching the screen transition into night, and I'm kind of just doing whatever with the Nimbus Cloud. But look at this. Like, look at Planet Namek. This actually looks relatively good. Reminds me more of the BT3 textures, but it's neither here nor there. Now, most importantly, I really just want to stop and focus on how everything looks. Now, I would say this. The graphics aren't terrible at all. I actually think these are relatively good. Like, it doesn't look crazy. Doesn't look like jagged or out of shape. Damn, Goku slammed that boy ass into the ground. He said he underwater with it. Okay, Goku got his ass splat right in his gut. Why is Vegeta bounce like that? Goku kicked the shit out of that boy. I'm not gonna lie. I will say this. This is one of those things that I actually really do like and don't like about these games. So, you don't really get good angles when you're like in front of other objects or your opponents in front of other objects because of how the camera decides to pan and things like that. I will say that's one of those things I do wish that they do improve for these kind of games. But I will say, like, when I sit down and compare this to like Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 3 and things like that, because I play those games quite a bit on this generation of console, I would say from the aspect of actual textures, I like Storm better, but we're not focusing on Storm for today's video. Yeah, man, like, look at this. Like, it just looks very dynamic. Goku getting his ass kicked, I will say that. Wow. Missed the grab and got kicked by Vegeta. Excuse the random yawn. I don't know where that came from. But I like how you can still see, like, battle damage. I will say the one thing about Raging Blast, though, at least to what I've seen so far, you don't have, like, your clothes being destroyed. That's one of the things I do wish that they retained from the previous series. Or previous installments, better said. Because effectively, this is just Budokai. This is technically quote unquote technically Budokai Tenkaichi 4, just without the name. Or you could effectively say a remake of Budokai Tenkaichi 1 for the PlayStation 3. You could swing the argument however you want, but this is just another version of them. Like, for instance, Burst Limit, which was also a Dragon Ball Z game that came out for this generation, is the fourth Budokai game in my opinion. Well, Gohan did just end Vegeta whole life with a clean Super Kamehameha. I believe it was Super Kamehameha. It should have been. Well, okay, a Super Masenko, damn. He hit Nappa ass head on. But not point blank range. Okay, we got max power, or high tension as they like to call it. It was a Super Kamehameha, that's what it was. Dang. Okay, we got a clash here. Okay. I'm not gonna lie. How'd you let Nappa beat your ass? Damn. Got cooked. You don't even have to dash like that, though. That was a very strange dash. And he just gonna throw Ki Blast at him. Anyway, but yeah, guys, like, I actually am just very satisfied. I'm very satisfied with like the art style and direction of this title. I really believe that if Raging Blast 3 was a thing, we may have never gotten Sparking Zero. Those are just my thoughts about that though. But I'm looking at it from the aspect of I see this title and I'm like, damn. I wonder why Raging Blast 3 never happened. But I actually am sitting down really just curious, how does this measure up to the next game? And I'll make a video about that because I'm curious myself on what that looks like. Damn, he dodged that bitch too. He really weaved that hoe. Oh wow. Point blank range super Kamehameha. He basically nuked him. Okay. We got a whiffed heavy smash. Okay. We tried to turn that boy around. Yeah. Got you. Hold up. Damn, not the Piccolo. I've avenged you. He got the smirk on his face and, oh, jeez. Gohan was not playing. But overall, I'm actually highly satisfied with Raging Blast. And I really am really interested to see what the next title's like. And I might do a comparison video after I drop the experiencing the Raging Blast 2 title, but we'll see what happens. But I want to say thank you, and tell me your thoughts on the video if there's anything you guys are interested in. But other than that, have a great one.